thing that I want to do is I want to tell you that I got a little bit of coaching right before we came on tonight from Andrew Kirkpatrick. He said that I should just say, because of the heat and how wet it is, that I should just say, class of 2014, you are awesome. Thank you and good night. And I let him know that I might have made those, comments just a little bit with some of my own. So the first thing I want to say is thank you to the class of 2014. Thank you for asking me to speak tonight. Thank you for the honor. Thank you for the privilege. And whether you know it or not, tonight represents, in my opinion, one of the great milestones of your life. So the fact that you asked me to share it in this way is very humbling. So it's important to me that you know that I take this honor and this privilege very, very seriously. On the other hand, tonight is a celebration. And in the spirit of that, I would like to start by saying congratulations to the class of 2014. Congratulations to the incredible achievement that getting to today is. Congratulations on the incredible achievement that graduating from the school is. And please make no mistake, graduating from Friends School is an extraordinary achievement. Because Friends School is an extraordinary place. And part of the reason I'm saying this is because when I was your age, I didn't really understand what going to Friends and graduating from Friends meant to my life. And I think that I didn't understand partly because I had no way of knowing what it was going to mean to my life for the rest of my life. But I think another very important reason is that when you grow up in an environment like this, I think that we have a tendency to take for granted the privilege that it is. Now, I realize that you're not all the same. You all have varying degrees of advantage. You all have varying degrees of advantages and disadvantages as you move through life in the domains of achievement and success. Advantages and disadvantages based on your personalities, based on your race, based on your sex, your sexual orientation, based on how you look, based on the socioeconomic status of your parents. But the one advantage that you all share is coming through and graduating from Friends School. And to illustrate this point, I want to tell you about some of my closest friends from my graduating class. One got his MBA from Stanford and now runs an investment firm in California. One got 3 degrees in 5 years from MIT. He worked in the corporate arena for many, many years, and then went back to school, and now he's a professor of forestry. One is a groundbreaking chemist who not only started and runs his own company, but is also a university professor with a lab named after him. And probably my closest friend from high school has been a doctor at Johns Hopkins for many years, and I don't think that it's an exaggeration to say that he probably saved my life at least once, maybe twice. And those are just my closest friends. The list of outstanding achievements of my other classmates across a wide spectrum of fields, law, business, psychology, education, etc., goes on and on. And to be honest, I don't think that we were a particularly exceptional class. But the point that I'm trying to make by telling you this is that I want you to see that I am you, that my friends are your friends, that my classmates are your classmates. That's privilege. It's privilege that will inform your lives for the rest of your lives. But don't get me wrong. I firmly believe that any and all outstanding achievement and success takes lots and lots and lots of hard work, and focus, struggle, and sacrifice. And from my own experience, I can tell you sometimes it seems like it will never end. But I also assert that the will to engage in that hard work and struggle and focus and sacrifice towards your vision comes from a faith in yourself and a belief in what's possible for your life based on the examples and opportunities you're constantly surrounded by growing up. Unless something or someone intervenes in your life in a significant way. Now, I think it's not only important, but also necessary that you own and celebrate your individual accomplishments and successes. That you enjoy and celebrate the fruits of your labor, and that you take pride in your achievements. You deserve it. And at the end of the day, I believe that if you can't feel good about it and enjoy what you do, why bother? But I also think that it's equally important to realize that no individual success happens in a vacuum. We all have friends, we all have mentors, we all have role models. We all have help. And I think that when we take for granted our privilege, when we don't take responsibility for it by acknowledging it in the spirit of gratitude for the truly divine good fortune that it is, then we foster in ourselves an unconscious sense of arrogance and entitlement and elitism. And for a group of individuals like yourselves, that is very, very dangerous. Because whether you realize it now or not, you are going to be our leaders. So I think that a healthy sense of perspective about how fortunate we are is important, because it allows us to develop compassion. So with all that in mind, I'd like to tell you a little story about a man that I knew when I was growing up. He was very close to my family. He was a black man. He was born in the early 1920s in the Deep South. He came of age during the Great Depression. And he moved to Baltimore when he was 8 years old. So he grew up poor and black on the streets of Baltimore in the midst of Jim Crow. So you can imagine how limited the options were that he saw for his life. Just to give you an example. This very young man, he applied to the Baltimore City Police Academy. He got in, he went through, and he graduated. But on the day that he was supposed to be sworn in, he didn't go. Because his mother and his sister begged him not to because they thought that it was too dangerous. And when when he told me this story, I asked him, well, why did you want to be a cop in the first place? And he looked at me and he shrugged and he said, because I needed a job. Now, he was also in the Army for a short time during World War II. He was drafted toward the end of the war. He actually never ended up going overseas, but nevertheless, he saw something one day that changed his life. He saw a black officer. I don't remember exactly what the rank was. I think it was major, but in any event, it started him thinking. It startled him because he didn't think that it was possible for a black man to achieve that. And so he started asking around about this guy, and he found out this guy had gone to college. So he started thinking about it. And eventually he said to himself, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. I'm going to go to college. So eventually he went to college. He went to Morgan State University. He worked his way through school, he graduated. Eventually he became a high school English and social studies teacher. And he taught the Baltimore public city school system for almost 15 years. Now, while he was teaching, he went to school at night and got his master's degree in English, just to see if he could do it. Then he went to school at night to study law, once again, just to see if he could do it, never ever intending to actually practice law. Still, he was doing all this while he was going to school during the day. While he was teaching high school during the day. Well, he graduated from the University of Maryland Law School in 1960, at the age of 39, the only person of color in his class. Then he took the bar exam, once again, just to see if he could do it. He passed it the first time. Well, he ended up practicing law for over 25 years, most of which time he spent as a public defender. And so he was able to create for his life not only incredible accomplishment, but tremendous service. Because a purely chance occurrence altered his perception and thereby opened the world of possibility for his life that didn't exist for him before that. The kinds of possibilities that you and I simply take for granted. Now I think this story illustrates, the capriciousness of chance and how lucky we all are here. But more importantly, it illustrates the power of living a life of courage, living a life of intellectual curiosity, a life of ruthless emotional self-honesty, a consistent attempt to live a life of authenticity and meaning. And I think that it makes a difference, not only to the quality of our own lives, but to the quality of the lives of everyone we touch, and to our subsequent generations, And I can attest to the last part from personal experience, because the man in the story that I just told you about was my father. And when my daughter graduated from high school, she won the English Award. She was accepted into Stanford, Barnard, Smith, Vassar. When my son graduated from high school, he won the Earth Science Award and the AP Biology Award. Their accomplishments and the fact that I'm here tonight with the incredible honor of speaking to you is because in 1945, a young black man saw something that changed his perception of what was possible for his life. And he spent the rest of his life following those possibilities and making them real. Now, as I said earlier, I realize that tonight is a celebration, so I don't want to talk too much. But I do want to leave you with a few quotes. The first is from Socrates. He said, "Let him that would move the world first move himself." The next is from E. Cummings. He said, "To be nobody but yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you everyone else means to fight the hardest battle that any human being can fight and to never stop fighting." And the last quote is from Maya Angelou, and it's about her relationship with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. She said, "The wonderful thing about the icon is that you continue to grow and develop courage, the most important of all the virtues. Because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. If you've seen another truth, then have enough courage to change your way of thinking, to say, hey everybody, you know what I said last week? I don't believe that anymore. A little child just straightened me out." This was the mark of Martin and of Malcolm. And on that note, not to be cliche, but go forth, accomplish, lead, and above all else, please, have a great time.